Hello everyone and welcome to GPVWC 2018 and specifically the Tuesday round of the Formula Challenge race. Of course, tomorrow is the Super Cup race and on Thursday is the big boys, the Super League drivers race. But today we are starting off GPVWC with the slightly slower but very, very competitive field of Formula Challenge cars. Today, of course, we're at the Albert Park circuit in Melbourne, and we have 30 drivers now, actually. I was going to say 29. We have 30 drivers now in the session. The qualifying session has begun, and currently topping it is Chris Shepherd. So Chris Shepherd at the top of the order in the Stax racing car is at the top of the order so far with 133.5, but we still have over 10 minutes of qualifying remaining, so I'm sure there is plenty of time for things to change. Currently, the top five after Shepherd are taken up by Viet, Campfield, De Los Rios, that'll do it, and then Yunt, Stefano, Early, Butcher, Foster, Gauka. I said that was the top five. That wasn't. That was the top 10. Although now Osvaldo Angeloni has just moved up into 9th position. So still things are changing and still things have the potential to change. Of course, it's not long since the GPVWC Formula Challenge pre-season test either. That was held at the Autodromo Hermanos, the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez, that's it, which was the 20th of February, in fact, and that, of course, being only a week ago, the drivers still very, very new to these cars, and still these cars very, very new to the drivers. So there's plenty that we don't know about them yet. There's plenty that we're about to witness, and this first race will be a real showing of who is on the pace and who isn't, who to look out for, and which teams and drivers might find themselves up on top at the end of the season. Then again, you really don't know, because even if a driver dominates this opening race, who's to say they're going to be quick for the whole of the rest of the season? I've seen real turning points happen halfway through a season before, so there is certainly time for things to change, and that could be very interesting to see as the season progresses. So Chris Shepherd still leading the order, but third place now comes in from Osvaldo Angeloni. So Angeloni has been getting quicker and quicker, climbing up the order, and has now got up into third position. Angeloni in the very purpley and whitey liveried McKinley engineering car, unusual livery, but is in third place at the moment. Has just put his car there, about 6/10 off the lead. Now, we are also joined here by a second commentator who's just hopped into the broadcast room just in time, Menno Klont.
Hello. Yes, we had some problems with one of the runners, actually. Kevin Peters had some issues, and I was jumping in to make sure he could join the server, but that worked. He actually is in now. His qualifying is cut short a bit, but he's on, and that means we've got our 32 cars now in the server, so pretty cool.
Oh, that's 32 cars. That's what you just heard. 32 cars in a server at the same time, and these are all, of course, very highly competitive single-seater racing cars and racing drivers. And I can imagine that we are about to witness something rather special here, as Ivan Leonov goes up to second place now with a 133.661, so that's 3/10 off Chris Shepherd at the top of the order. And now Sandeep Choda puts himself up into fourth, so Choda on a flyer on that last lap. He locks up slightly going into turn one there, but Sandeep Choda in the GPVWC CM Tech car interestingly missed the pre-season testing, so we didn't see anything from Sandeep there. But of course, Sandeep, we know from the past to be a capable driver, has now taken his car out for the first time and put it at the top, well, third in the order. So that's a good opening showing from Choda there. A couple of you can find the entry list for this this series on the GPVWC sim racing website. That is en.gpvwc.com, and you can find an entry list for this series there, including all of the emergency and reserve drivers. But there have been a couple of changes to that list since it was published. For example, Mark Viert is jumping into the academy seat because I think Enric Andre is ill today. Then of course we have who else do we have? Cameron Roger is standing in for Ed Williams at Eidos, so that has that's changed as well. And Ballant Hammer is driving the vacant academy, I think. So, Menno, who do you think should be keeping an eye on as the season progresses?
For academy or sorry, I didn't got that.
I didn't make that very clear. I meant throughout the whole field. Who should we look out for in Formula Challenge this year?
Ooh, that's interesting. I believe Luke McQuire was looking very quick in the pre-season testing, but of course he doesn't have the experience that Chris Butcher or Chris Shepard has, or David Junt. So those guys will be very important. And of course the new talent and returning talent will be very interesting. I see Ivan Leonov is pretty quick. Sandeep Chota is pretty quick and in this sim racing for very long. So interesting what he can do. Also some names that are a bit progressing now, like James Early is back and he's always good. You've got the likes like Thomas Adriamihari Soa, who constantly improves himself, and I think he will be better during the season. And yeah, you got some rookies, so it's an interesting field actually. But yeah, if I would put my money on a few guys, it would be Shepard, Butcher, and Junt, and what was his name? Luke McGuire, because those four look so fast, and yeah, they're all four look like they can bring something special, at least in the preseason test.
Good selection, good selection. Luke McGuire, interestingly, hasn't actually been out in this qualifying session yet, so we still got to see what he can do. You brought up an interesting point, though, in what you were just saying there, and that is experience. If you look at the top of the order here, we've got Chris Shepard, Chris Butcher, Ivan Leonov, and Sandeep Chota. Those four drivers taking up the first two rows of the grid so far. Those do all have a significant amount of experience, especially in a Formula Challenge car. Of course, Shepard and Butcher, I believe, did it last year as well, as did David Junt, another driver you brought up there. And I can imagine that early in the season, especially, that experience will come in especially handy, because, of course, a lot of these other drivers would never have driven in a race before. I can see plenty of names at the back of the order that I barely recognise, because a lot of these drivers are very, very new. And I can imagine that means that just having that experience of what a race weekend's like, where you should place your car at different points in the race, and how the race progresses, will be highly beneficial for the drivers who know about it, like Shepard, Butcher, Leonov, and Chota at the front of the order. But we also have a fair number of new drivers, as I said, to keep our eyes on. One interesting lineup I learned about when it was announced on the Downforce Racing, Downforce Radio website rather, was that the Downforce Racing team lineup will consist entirely of kart drivers this year. And if you look down the order, we have Tom Davison in 50 at the moment, and also Harry Graham in P90 at the moment. And those are both Birolart UK racing drivers. Harry Graham, I know, did especially well in that. I think came third in that last year. So those drivers, definitely new talent to look out for. And of course, having that experience of having proven themselves in reality as well, in real racing, that's definitely going to be something to look out for. But again, we have 32 drivers in this series. Knowing exactly who to look out for is going to be really, really difficult. But we'll see who can prove themselves. So, while I was saying that, in fact, Sandeep Chota goes up to second. So Chris Butcher did go up to second, but he's now been demoted by Sandeep Chota, who puts in a lap just 0.004 off Chris Shepherd at the top of the order. Shepherd is still in control, but really not in commanding control. But look at the timer. This timer is ticking right the way down, and to be honest, it's going to be gone in seconds. And those seconds, in fact, are 90 seconds, because in a minute and a half time, the timer will tick to 0, and after that, of course, only the drivers who are currently on a lap are then still able to set a lap, and as a result, all drivers on a lap now really need to think about making it count. There's really not much chance left. So, looking at the calendar for this series as well, this is round 1. We do have a couple of interesting rounds on the calendar. We have our usual returning rounds as well. Always look forward to Monaco, of course, and races like that, of course, with the season finale being Abu Dhabi as well. But one thing I have noticed is that we've got a couple of faces, a couple of names which we haven't seen for a while, like Baku, that's a new one, and the circuit Paul Ricard as well at the French Grand Prix. Surely those will be certainly some to look out for. Which race do you think you're looking forward to most out of these, Menno?
Well, Baku is of course very interesting because it's new, and I think for the rest it's more or less the same which we saw last season. I think for the FC, I think the Red Bull Ring is always a bit special because that's quite well. The track is not that long, so it's fun with those cars. Yeah, Baku will be interesting with the huge straight, the back straight, and of course Monaco with the FC cars is fun as well, because in Monaco, even in FC, you see some people doing amazing things with the FC car, and which on normal circumstances they couldn't do. Like last year, I believe Thomas Adriamihari Soa finished in P2 just because he had a good reverse grid position, but with that he made no mistake. And if you have the talent to make no mistake in an FC race, in Monaco you can get a really good position out of it. So that's very interesting, of course. And yeah, and of course it's fun to drive an FC car in a Rouge. So yeah, the normal circuits and actually Baku, because Baku is new. That's the big unknown for us.
Certainly a good call. Meanwhile, the session timer has ticked to 0. Shepherd and Choda are both in the pits. Butcher, I can tell you, is not going up on his lap. Really, the driver I'm watching now is Ivan Leonov, as Philip Koenig puts his car to 4. That's a good performance from Philip Koenig. We saw flashes of pace at the end of last season, but he was never right at the front of the field until now. That's a good qualifying performance from Philip Koenig. Where can Leonov put it? Oh, he's not gone quicker. So Leonov keeps his car 5th. Campfield and Stefano's in the pits. I believe it's just Campfield in this top 10 of the order. Although Campfield puts 2 wheels over the grass there. I'm wondering whether this lap is still going and still going quickly, or whether this is going to have cost him the lap. Oh, indeed, he pits. So that's that. We only have one driver left on track, and he's just spun. That was Miguel de los Frias. So the finishing order of this qualifying session, and the order that the drivers will line up in, is Shepherd, Choda, Butcher, Koenig, Leonov, Campfield, Stefano, Angeloni, Viet, Early, Yunt, Hammer, de los Rios, Andrzejewski, Andrzejewski. That'll do it.
Yeah.
Oh dear, I'm going to get better at that. It must be something Jevsky, because V or W is V. Okay, I'll ask about that later. Dominic Foster, then it's Clip, Davison, Ziabinski, Muru, Andrea Maharasa, Galka, Graham, Kell, Wannermuller, Willis, Roger, Metcalf, Woznica, Brambilla, Maguire, and Peters. And those are all 31 drivers, so we appear to have lost one. What is Peters doing? Have a look at that camera in the pits. His car appears to be propping itself up on its side. Now, what's happened there or why it's doing it, I'm not sure, but it certainly makes for an interesting onboard camera.
Yeah, interesting what actually is happening there. And currently, I believe Mateusz Dabrowski left the server, but of course he will rejoin. So we will be in with 32 drivers again. I think if you look at the qualifying, there are a few names that are, well, jumping into the eye, and that's Daniela Brambilla, who's only qualified in 29th position, or 30. I don't know where Dabrowski is, but Brambilla was pretty quick in the pre-season tests. I believe he was 5th or something, and now he's only in the back, and that's something I didn't expect from Brambilla after the great test. And of course, Luke McGuire. I expected him to at least be in the top 3 in qualifying, but for some reason there was something happening, and now he's in the back as well. Makes for an interesting race, of course, because Luke will, I think, get to move up in the field during the start. If he can stay out of trouble, maybe race 2 is his chance with the reverse grid as well. Interesting.
Well, you make a good point there with race 2, because of course we do have a reverse grid for race 2, because that's how it works here. It's a random grid position picked from 10th to 15th, I believe, which means that after race 1, the order will be reversed down to that position that is picked from 10th to 15th. So, for example, if the number 15 is picked out, that means that the order of the top 15 drivers from race 1 are going to be completely reversed to make up the grid for race 2, which definitely does provide a lot of interesting racing for race 2, and certainly something to look out for at later in the broadcast. But of course, race 1 comes first, where the drivers line up in the positions that they just qualified in, which puts Chris Shepherd on the pole. So a good opening performance from Chris Shepherd to take the first pole of the season.
Let's see, 4 minutes of warm-up still to go, and now you have the most important run before the race. It's the run with qualifying fuel run that will determine how is your feeling. Of course, one lap feeling can be very good, you can be a hot lapper, but that feeling with that car, how is it now? It's responding a little bit different than during the hot lap, and you now see people getting the feeling back of the high fuel car, and interesting. And I think we will see a lot of people doing some last moment practice starts, and hope to have the good RPM for in the race. So it will be very interesting to see people do that actually now in warm-up session. And it's close before the race, so it will be very interesting. We waited for this a lot of months. Actually, some teams just were really happy when they got selected last December, and for now they waited a few months, and they made awesome liveries, got new drivers which weren't previous in GPV. So everything is exciting for all those drivers in all those new teams. Of course, also for the teams that those are already there, like the teams from last year who stayed in FC. They of course want to build on last year, and interesting what will happen. Josh, you've got anything to add on that?
Well, another thing, of course, to look out for is that we have a new car, and of course, last year we were using the 2017 Formula Challenge car, obviously, which was based on the Formula 2 car, or so-called Formula 2 car, that was being used in reality from 2009 to 2012 in the series, I think, run by Johnny Palmer. But that car has been replaced for this year by a brand new Formula Challenge car, which I must say I've driven. I did the pre-season test for CM Tech, and I must say it's just brilliant. It goes exactly where you want it to, and it does exactly what you want it to. And it's so responsive to setup as well. I mean, I was playing around with the top speed a bit when I was doing the pre-season test. When I started the session, my initial setup, I think, had a top speed of something like 175 with the RS Open. By the end of the session, I got it to almost 190 in straight line. It was ridiculous. But it really is very responsive to setup. You can feel that in the cornering as well, and that is what a lot of drivers would have been focusing on going into this weekend, which gives a good level of skill involved in it, in not just driving skill, but also the ability to set up a car and make it do what you want it to, and all of those factors as well. So to win this, you don't just have to be quick, you have to be clever as well. You have to be clever about it.
Yeah, and what I find interesting in this year's car, of course, that it has DRS now. Last year we had a car which didn't have DRS, so this will be the first FC race where we will have DRS. And I think some people used DRS in previous series before, but some will be new to DRS. So it will be interesting if there are drivers that can use DRS more to their advantage than their rivals. Because even with the DRS use, you think it's only using a button, but it's also being smart, knowing if you are going to having a lot of steering while DRS is open, you can spin out. So that's something you need to make sure you don't do. So the DRS on this car is very interesting, and we will see how that will unfold in the race actually.
Certainly. I mean, of course, as a reminder, the DRS stands for Drag Reduction System, and that is the flap that you will sometimes see opening on the rear wing. The drivers will be allowed to open that flap when they are within a second of the car ahead of them on track. So that's in the race, of course. I believe after lap 3, it will be become available, and that's going to be used on the start-finish straight, and also I think the straight heading up to turn 3. So I think we have a double. Actually, I think it's only the straight heading up to turn. No, I think we do have a double DRS zone here. Yeah, so that's certainly something to look out for. It does make overtaking a lot less scarce, and you often do see DRS being used to let one driver pull alongside another driver in a straight line, and then either they get past before the corner, or they have to finish it off in the corner. And we were seeing that last year, but I think the DRS is going to just add to that, and we'll see what comes of it in the race. I tell you what, it makes defense harder.
That's true. So let's see. I think we're about to move on to the race. So we're ready for that.
Yes, well, the brief warm-up session, which again had nothing to do with the race order, is completely over now. The time has ticked to 0. Now we are just waiting for the race to begin. Of course, the cars will go for a 1 minute a 1 minute session of actually getting to the grid. Of course, they don't have to go around the whole track for that. They just get their setup sorted out and then pop their cars onto the grid using the convenience of sim racing teleportation. Then, of course, we will go for a formation lap where we will see all 32 cars, hopefully in all of their glory, and we do have all 32 cars here because Dabrowski rather is in this session now. I can see him on the server. So we will see all 32 drivers heading around on the formation lap, and then they will line up on the grid, wait for the 5 red lights to come on, go out, and then they will be away on the first lap of the race. And that is when we will see who gets the jump and who will be one to look out for later on in the race.
Well, we just see admin Chris is making up the grid. So yeah, 32 people. That means that more than half of the people will not get points. That's pretty hard, actually.
Absolutely, you certainly have to be a very good driver to even finish the race in one of these cars, and even more so with a grid like this to score points. Of course, you have to be one of the top 15 finishers at the end of the race from 32 drivers. So as you said, over half of the drivers here will not score points in this first race. So it means that consistency is going to be the key. not making any silly errors, because if you have a crash, you're not going to finish anywhere near as high up as you could otherwise finish. And as a result, you need to make sure that you keep it clean and be consistently consistently as quick as you can go without binning the car to keep it up near the front of the field.
Yeah, and very interesting. I believe Chris Shepard has a 5 place grid penalty from last year, and Wesley Stefano has got, I believe, a back to grid penalty. So because that is last year and penalties you can carry over from last season, that means that they need to be served now.
Right, so those penalties, of course, have carried over from last season, and Chris Shepard was starting third. So that means that third place on the order now will go to Leonard. Oh, interestingly, that's not the order I was expecting. I thought. Okay, well, everything's sorted there. I was just told that. Okay, never mind. It's all fine. So we do have Chris Butcher again at the front of the order, followed by Ivan Leonov, Sandeep Choda, Adrian Campfield, Chris Shepard, who was going to start right at the front of the order. I think he was pole, wasn't he? Yeah. And then it was Osvaldo Angeloni, Mateusz Dabrowski, Mark Wirtz, James Early, David Yunt, Valent Hammer, Miguel de los Rios, Pavel and here we go again. Andrzejewski, Dominic Foster, Matthew Klipp, Tom Davison, Rona Muru, Thomas Andrea Morosa, Michal Galka, rather, Harry Graham, Dan Kelt, Mateusz Zibinski, not Dabrowski. Then it's Ben Willis, Cameron Roger, Jan Vosniger, Patrick Vonnemuller, Kevin Peters, Brett Metcalf, Philip Koenig, Daniele Brambilla, and Luke Maguire. And I don't see a Mateusz Dabrowski here. So it maybe we do only have 30. Oh, and someone else has just left too.
Let's see. Mark Veit left, and I believe Wesley Stefano left.
Oh, I tell you what, we've actually gone into another 5-minute warm-up session here. Now, I was expecting us to go to the grid. That might be why the order's not what I was expecting. But we've gone through all of that tension, as they're saying, just to go into another warm-up session. And wherever that's happened, I don't know. It might be because of disconnections or driver issues or things like that. But anyway, we're giving them a second chance, and we've still got another 4 minutes until the formation lap. So apologies about that, but things happen. So
I think we will start as soon Mark Veit gets back. So he's back. So I guess we will go to the race session pretty soon. But of course, we need to have the whole grid ordered again.
I did think that grid looked wrong because, well, unless I was reading it wrong, someone in another Discord channel posted that Choda finished second in qualifying, which I think he did. Yes, he did. It was Shepard, Choda, Butcher. Of course, Shepard now has a penalty, so it will be Sandeep Choda on pole, unless he himself has a penalty.
Very interesting. I see him here as P3.
You see, that's why I thought it was wrong, because for some weird reason, Sandeep Choda was not at the front of the order, and I was expecting that he would be, and that's what I was getting confused about. So whether Sandeep Choda has a carried over penalty or not, I don't know.
What of course could be the case, you can ask admin Chris Williamson to delete your fastest lap if that was a cutting lap. So that's a very good point. Be happening. Like that he saw that that lap could be a cut, so I want to have my second best time used. So then you can do that.
Yeah, you've just brought up a brilliant point. Track limits. If you feel that you've cut the track limits on your fastest lap, you can ask admin Chris Williamson to remove your fastest lap, and then of course the session goes off your second lap. Or if that was also unfair, you're at your third lap. If you don't do that, then and you are found to have cut the track on your on your qualifying lap, then you do end up getting a penalty that carries over to the next race. It's a back of the grid penalty, and I think that's what Wesley Stefano has for this race. So that might well be why Sandeep Choudhury is not on pole here, and that might be why Chris Butcher is registered as having pole position. So Chris Butcher, it looks like will start at the front of the order due to track. Well, we suspect a track limits excursion from Sandeep Choudhury, which drops him to third on the grid.
Interesting. Interesting thing that happens now. Everybody's starting for their warm-up lap, but there is one guy still in the pits, and that's Daniele Brambilla.
You know, Brambilla did not go out for qualifying either, so I'm wondering if there's a problem with Brambilla's internet or Brambilla's car or whatever the problem is. There's some kind of problem there, because Brambilla did not set a lap in qualifying. He was actually 5th in the GPVWC Formula Challenge preseason test, so he was going really, really well, and it's a shame to see him still in the pits. But anyway,
let's do the grid. You can do the grid actually, because you're a star in it.
Oh, thanks. Chris Butcher is at the front of the order, followed by Ethan Leonov. This is the real grid, not the weird grid that I read out before all the penalties came into action. Then it's Sandeep Choudhury in 3rd place, not pole like I said he would be. Adrian Campfield in 4th. Chris Shepherd in 5th after qualifying pole, but having an outstanding penalty. Osvaldo Angeloni is in 6th, followed by Mateusz Dabrowski. Then it's Philip Koenig, Mark Weert, James Early, David Junt, Valent Hammer, Miguel de los Rios, Pavel Andrzejewski, yeah, got it, right, jolly good. Dominic Foster, Matthew Klipp, Tom Davison, Rano Muru, Thomas Andrea Marosa, Michał Galka, Harry Graham, Dan Kell, Matthias Sierbiński, Ben Willis, Cameron Roger, Jan Woznicka, Patrick Vonnemuller, Kevin Peters, Brett Metcalf, Wesley Stefano, and then Luke Maguire, as Daniele Brambilla is having to start from the pit lane, or not at all. We hope it's the former.
I think what Daniele Brambilla wants to do, because he was on the last row, he fears there will be some sort of carnage, and by starting from the pits, he hopes to avoid that. Because of course the first corner will be very intense, with all those people not have raced for a few months and now going through the first corner like there is no tomorrow. So very interesting what will happen. Hopefully it will be a little bit clean, but yeah, with 32 guys something can easily go wrong, and we shall see. We hope it's not an Melbourne 2002 F1 crash fest, so
well, talking of that, I think we've had an incident before the race start, because Miguel de los Rios has come in the chat, which he's technically not supposed to do, saying seriously. So I wonder if there's been a collision on the formation map, and we've actually already lost Mateusz Dabrowski. So for some reason, Dabrowski's not here. Whether that's related to that or not, I don't know. But anyway, our drivers are lining up on the grid here for the start of this first race. Let's watch for the lights. Here they come, and when all 5 of them go off, we will be away. Welcome to 2018. Here we go at the start of the race. Chris Butcher is away well. Sandeep Choudhury is away well. Sandeep Choudhury is going to be up to 2nd into turn 1 here. He does get 2nd. Chris Butcher leads it. Are we all through safely? I think that we might well be. I don't see anyone going skittering off the start here.
Big crash. One of the... is that Junt? Is that Junt?
Well, I spoke too early. There does appear to be an incident at the back. I'm just trying to scroll through to see who was involved. Oh, it is David Junt. Also, Daniele Brambilla has made it out to the pit. Who else was involved? Michał Galka was involved in the incident. But it's Chris Butcher leading us now from Sandeep Choudhury, Ivan Leonov, Chris Shepherd, Adrian Campfield, Philip Koenig, Mark Weert, Valent Hammer, Osvaldo Angeloni, and Miguel de los Rios. Those are the top 10 at the start here. But de los Rios gets over the grass, and look at James Early all over his rear end here on this opening lap of the race.
Look at all Sandeep spins, and Chris is into Ivan Leonov. No. Big crash, big crash.
No! Oh, I didn't see that, but 2 of the top guys. Oh no! Even Leonov gets going again too quickly, collects someone. I don't know how there wasn't a bigger accident there. Came right back into the field, very nearly. Well, did tangle wheels with someone, but didn't cause a further accident somehow. But Leonov and Choudhury I didn't see how that happened, but those two have come together, and those two have both been off. Ben Willis has lost his front wing and all of that somehow. And this first lap, unfortunately, has been pretty much what we expected from such a closely packed start of 31 cars. Daniele Brambilla, unfortunately, after starting from the pits, has also now lost a front wing. And after the first lap, oh my word, well, it's Chris Butcher leading from Chris Shepherd, who, of course, has fought his way up from 5th on the grid with all of the chaos ahead of him. So Shepherd is up to 2nd now, and it's Chris at the front of the order.
Yes, and very interesting in P4, Philip Koenig. Yeah, Philip Koenig has a lot of experience in Formula Challenge. He knows how to build up a race like this. So, very good, he's in P4. And look who's in P5, that's Mark Veit. Mark Veit is making his debut, I believe, like Adrian Camfield now in 3. So, the rookies in FC are now 3 and 5 and 6 actually, because Osvaldo is a rookie as well. Very interesting. Daniela Brambilla and what is it, Sandeep are both from CMTech, and they are having not the best first race, unfortunately. So very unfortunate for CMTech, and we will see if there will be any changes during the race.
Well, we did have a couple of pits on that opening lap. One that I wasn't expecting as well. Dan Kell obviously was involved in some sort of opening incident, but we had the ones you'd expect of Brambilla, Willis, Yunt and Choda, who were all involved in there. Actually, Choda didn't pit there, did he? He was just dropped to the rear of the order after incidents. And of course, Kell and Willis are both teammates themselves, both racing for Apex Motorsport with Precision FX. So those two have been involved, and Willis has now made his way past David Yunt there. But unfortunate start to the race. But now the battle is really on for 3rd place, as Campfield is attempting to hold off Koenig. I must say it's been a brilliant start from the two Stax racing drivers. They qualified high up the order. Now they're running 2nd and 3rd. So Stax are very much in the running for a double podium here.
Yes, it's very interesting that, of course, both of them kept their cool and now are both in podium position. That will please the team boss, of course. Looks very good.
Hello to everyone on the broadcast as well. We have several drivers and several teams and several other fans tuning in today. There are many names I recognise there. Epic Racing says, let's go Stax. Stax, as I said, in a very good position. I also see, Palan, that's Jean-Pierre Helpap, I believe, who is racing in Super Cup tomorrow, so that's going to be interesting to see. We're also live on the SimNews.TV channel. Several people tuning in there, including the CMTech team, who unfortunately haven't had the start they would have liked with a couple of incidents there. But anyway, let's keep going, and we'll see what you can do towards the end of the race. And now Mark Veit coming under attack this early on from Osvaldo Angeloni, who's made a good start.
Yeah.
Off goes De Los Rios. He made his way up from 13th on the grid, I think. And De Los Rios gets very, very sideways. Somehow only clouts the barrier. Doesn't lose too many positions. Lost one position in that to James Early. And he's very lucky he got away with that. Hopefully there's no suspension damage. I don't see any on the straight. But that could have been a lot worse there from Miguel De Los Rios. And bit of a scary moment. That would have made his heart race, certainly.
Yeah, very true, of course. So we still got 31 drivers in competition. Dabrowski is out, of course. Let's see. The Stax guys are very close. And Campfield looks very racy, very interesting.
Oh, I tell you what, Jan Vosnik is going to get into trouble. He just entered the pit lane for whatever reason, but missed the pit entry. And you have to come in before that solid white line started. He didn't. He cut right across the grass and into the pit. So that's going to be a penalty, I expect.
I think it's a team order at Stax.
Yes, it is. Now it looks as if what's happened here is that Adrian Campbell has been let past Chris Shepherd, who now gets on the grass and into the barrier. He touches the barrier, loses the place to Philip Koenig. That has not worked how Stax wants it at all. And there's damage on Chris Shepherd's car. Look at how he's travelling down the straight there. Chris Shepherd has a damaged car there. That is terrible for the Stax Racing team, who are running so well. Now, what they were trying to do is they saw that Campfield was under attack from Shepherd. They wanted Shepherd to go back and defend from Koenig. They thought they had a better chance of doing that than Campfield did. But it completely bit them in the backside as Shepherd makes a big error, goes over the grass and into the barrier. And now he's going to have a really tough job to hold on to any more positions. Wyatt and Angeloni are fighting for 5th now. Wyatt goes defensive to the inside. It's a crash in the background at the final corner as Angeloni gets passed into 5th position. Who went off there? Someone went off at the final corner. Was it Tom Davison? No, he's fine. Actually, I don't think it was a big crash, like I said, but I think someone went off. There was certainly a lot of dust kicked up. It looked as if someone had gone barreling into the barriers or something like that, but I think everyone's fine. Now, after that big sort out at the front of the order, the top 5 are Butcher, Campfield, Koenig, Shepherd, and Angeloni, which is a very different top 5 to the one we saw line up on the grid.
Yes, what I think might happen with Chris, because I was his teammate last year, you know, he had some issues with his wheel. I think it might be force feedback related, and it might be that he has got some problems with that. But it's just guesswork, of course. It could be something like that, because he's got a little bit of damage maybe, but it is not too bad. And now it looks actually he can follow Koenig and Campfield.
Can I add this to a list of unwanted records that we're going to be bringing up at the end of the season? Kevin Peters is our first upside-down car. He has just been collected by Sandeep Choda, who unfortunately is out of the race as well. So there's been a big accident there, and unfortunately I think all the blame there has to rest on Sandeep Choda, who just missed his braking behind Kevin Peters, and unfortunately both of them now are out of this race. Bitterly disappointing to see drivers out this early, and we also have Jan Bosnicker out after he missed the entrance to the pits, as I mentioned a few minutes ago. So obviously problems for him as well. A couple of incidents early on, but still 28 drivers running in this race. Now it's getting close for 2nd. It was before when they were battling for 3rd, but Campfield and Koenig still very close. Of course, Shepherd dropping back after his damage. He's doing very well to hang on to that car, because I know how difficult it is to hang on to a crabbing car. And that's not just bent steering, that is a properly crabbing car he's driving there. Proper Robin Frank style there.
Yeah, true.
And doing very well to still be in 4th position at this point.
Yeah, he's got some damage, but he really can follow, so there's a lot of damage actually. So might not be related then with force feedback, what I say previously, but I saw in lap times actually that Chris Shepherd can't follow Philip Koenig, so yes, P4 will be maximum, I think, for Chris. So interesting if he can finish like that. And actually this is like Robin Frank style, which Robin Frank did I think a few years ago in Formula E.
Yeah. Oh, hold on, I'm just being pointed at a few things are being pointed out to me in the SimNews.TV chat. Godona says that Chris had suspension damage before, and a lot of them are saying that Chris wouldn't give way to team orders. There's someone off there. Who's that? I've just seen on replay. You're going to be seeing that a couple of minutes earlier. Whoever it was, they went for a very good recovery there and ended up carrying on. It was Luke McGuire, in fact, so good recovery from him, but he's dropped outside of the points. But anyway, as I was saying, it looks as if Chris Shepherd's incident was actually unrelated to team orders, and he was just dropping back because he was dropping back. But anyway, that's how it's played out. Very unfortunately for Chris Shepherd. So obviously he's had an incident that we didn't see.
Very true. We got some movers, and actually one of the biggest movers actually is Mateusz Jubinski, who qualified really poor actually, but now is in 12th position, and actually he's doing a great job. So from a low position already in P12, could mean that he can move up maybe 1 or 2 positions again, so we shall see. Also very interesting that Ballenthammer now is in P9 fighting for P8. Ballenthammer didn't know he was racing for a GPVWC Academy. Yeah, since 3 hours ago he was informed there was a seat at the Academy and that he potentially could drive it. He accepted it, and now he's in P9. And Ballenthammer really wanted to make name for himself, because yeah, if you drive academy and you don't have a seat at another team, at least not a primary one. He was signed at McKinley, and yeah, well, McKinley let it go. Well, we've got a big crash. That's Subinski.
Oh,
Subinski's
no.
out.
You cursed him.
Oh no, commentator's curse. Yes, that I should have known. There's a
And he's dropped
curse.
outside of the points now, and that's the worst place to do it on the track, because now he's going to have to go around for a whole new lap before he pulls a move. Talking of him, pulls into the pits rather. Talking of pulling a move, Andrzejewski has just passed Galka. My word, Ziobinski there didn't know he didn't have a front wing. Completely missed his braking zone there at turn 1. Of course, you have no downforce. Well, very little downforce on the front of the car once you lose your front wing, and he just completely misjudged it and went shooting straight on. Luckily didn't hit anything else, but he's going to have to drop a long way down the order into the pits and out of the pits again, which is a big shame. I was going to say that James Early, meanwhile, has got past Mark Viet, so that's for 6th position, and that's changed. And also Balint Hammer has just got up into 8th, so Balint Hammer, brilliant performance. I tell you what, if he didn't already have a primary seat, he might well do very, very shortly.
Well, yeah, he doesn't have it. I believe he was reserved at McKinley, and McKinley, let it go because, yeah, one of his drivers could drive today for Academy, so it's very good from McKinley Engineering. And, yeah, I think it shows that Hammer has a lot of talent and that he actually should be on the grid. So he's doing an amazing job. But looking at the cars from McKinley, we've got Osvaldo now in P5, yes, and he is close to Chris Shepard. And you know what will happen, I think, Josh?
Yeah.
It will happen. It will happen. He will pass for P4, I guess.
Right, well, we'll see. Of course, Shepard, we know, is struggling with damage to his suspension. The car is heavily crabbing there. And hopefully that doesn't affect him too much. But I do think that Osvaldo Angeloni is catching at a high rate of knots. Contact! Maguire and Foster collide. Both go off into the gravel there. I only caught that out of the corner of my eye, but they're both going to lose positions. They were fighting for, the bottom points position in 15th. And it looks as if Foster has just come right over on Maguire, driven straight into the side of him. And both of them have gone straight off the road and lost several positions. Unfortunately, that's bad driving from Foster there to come straight across on Maguire.
Yes, that was unfortunate, of course. But, yeah, it just happened. So, this is, of course, very interesting for Maguire, that he was one of the favorites, and looks like he might not get points now. Interesting.
Yeah, very disappointing, but we'll see what they can do in the remainder of this race. Of course, Maguire at the moment running in 18th. So, of course, with well, actually, I was going to say plenty of time left in the race. It's really snuck away, hasn't it? We've only got 40% of the race left, really, and as a result, there's not really much time for things to change. But let's face it, this is Formula Challenge. Things will change, and things do change. And one change, which might be about to change, I said change a lot there, is Angeloni on Shepard, who edged even closer on that last lap. The gap is now less than half a second.
Yes, and with the damage that he's got, Chris, I think it will be very difficult to hold Angeloni on bay. What could help Chris Shepard actually is that the tire wear is, of course, getting critical. So we shall see if he can defend Chris Shepard, but it will be difficult. And if I look on board with Osvaldo, you see he's actually very good on the brakes. So yeah, we shall see if Chris Shepard can hold it.
We've had a question in the YouTube stream, which is from Lewis McGlade, who says, who made this overlay here? Well, it's a SimNews.TV overlay. Do you know who in particular made this? I'm not entirely sure here.
I thought it was Argo Teder who made this, but I'm not sure. Could it be Argo Teder? Question mark. We will ask later, I guess.
Okay, well, Argo Teder, of course.
Oh, we've got somebody going off. It's Miguel de Los Rios.
He was high in the order. He was high up in the order, so that's a shame to see. Although that's not a very big off. Oh, what's happened there is he's just it looks to me like he's just kind of braked with 2 wheels on the line, and that's just kind of.
I think he's got a problem with tire wear because Muru is going to overtake him with DRS, yes. Inside, Muru passes, and yes. Whoa, no, he spun.
Was there contact there, or did Muru? No, there was contact. Of course there was. Yeah, just saw that
now
again.
You have to wait. Oh,
It was very.
This is very good. You're not wanting to rejoin, but you're losing a good position. So now it's Wesley Stefano in the points with Luke McGuire hunting down that last points position.
Oh, that is going to be a close battle for the lower order of the points here.
And Miguel de los Rios is struggling really hard with his tires. So let's see if he can manage to make it stick. While we're going to P9, because Matthew Klipp is driving a great race as well. We didn't mention Matthew Klipp a lot, but he's just doing his thing. And if that makes him a top 10 driver, then it is somebody who can do that very good. And Matthew Klipp is somebody with a lot of experience as well, so he knows how to bring back points. So that's what he's trying to do. But I don't want to curse anymore, guys. So let's not do it then.
Absolutely, and I was speaking to someone at the end of last season who was saying that Klipp has indeed been getting quicker and quicker, and has been becoming more of an issue to the top guys every single round, because he is. And Klipp certainly will be one to look out for in the future here. So, looking through the order as well, it's actually getting very, very close still for fourth position. Well, it has been close for a long time. Shepard's still not allowing Angeloni through, and that's a great performance because, of course, he is, as we keep saying, heavily damaged. And to drive a car that is handling like that is, of course, extremely difficult. Now, the bottom end of the points is changing again as Stefano and Maguire found themselves right on the back of Andrzejewski. So Andrzejewski still, well, it appears to also be struggling with tyres, I'd say, because he's lost a lot of time on that lap. That will be down to setup, won't it? Because you just can't allow your tyres to get that bitten up this early in the race. We've still got about 30%. Yeah, there you see Andrzejewski. Ooh, that was close. Just sort of understeering wide, and now he's being swamped. He's being passed by both of them. Whoa! Puts himself down the middle, it looked like. Very, very nearly backed out of it very wisely. But that could have been very close indeed. And loses out now to the points as Michal Galka misses out on the entire chicane in the background there.
And you know what is very interesting? We're not talking about the race leader, it's Chris Butcher. He's like, we don't notice him, he's just doing his thing, he's just driving away, and yeah, we don't notice him, he's not, anybody is close to him. He's got Adrian Campfield on 6 seconds, and well, it's kind of boring. We just, don't have him much on the, I believe not much footage of him, at least we don't talk much about him, but he's doing his thing, and let's see if he can bring this one at home. And very interesting because Chris Butcher just joined the FC halfway last year, and then people already said, well, if that guy was in an FC car at the beginning of the season, he would have been around there for the top 3 positions in the Drivers' Championship. And because he joined halfway in 2017, that didn't happen. But now he's there from the beginning, and what kind of beginning we will see? I think we might see the perfect beginning for Chris Butcher.
Well, absolutely. He's like my brother in a go-kart, just very, very silently wins. And that's often the way you have to go about it.
16 and 17 are battling very hard. Galka and Pavel Andrzejewski, if I can name him like that.
Yeah, as I said, Andrzejewski just been losing a lot of time over the past few laps. I reckon his tyres are going off. And Galka, of course, previously a Super League driver, as recently as last season, is attacking.
You shouldn't forget there is something more than only the battle. Those are both Polish guys. And it's also a bit of pride. But Galka now goes to P16. Makes me
Yeah.
think that Pavel used up most of his tires, but we shall see later.
That has to be something to do with the setup of the other cars, because the other drivers are just conserving the tires so much better, and of course that is partly driving style, but you don't really lose that much tire wear simply through driving style as much as you can. Sometimes it has to be that maybe he's running too much camber on the car or something like that, and it's just been eaten so quickly.
Yeah, true. And Osvaldo Angeloni is still not passing Chris Shepard, so it's interesting if he will do so. I think now Chris has got a good chance to stay in P4, but of course...
Valent Hammer over the gravel is, I think, going to keep the position, but absolutely flew all four wheels off the ground there, and that could have been a very scary ride, I tell you. That was a bit hairy there from Valent Hammer, but he's back on the road and still running in a strong 8th position, and he will definitely be one to look out for the rest of the year if he does get a full-time drive. Meanwhile, Chris Butcher, our dominant race leader so far, has brought us onto the final lap of the race, lap 15 out of 15, and he is actually about 5.5 seconds ahead of second place.
Problem for Mikael de los Rios. He's making mistakes. For P10, I think he will lose it. We've got 2 men on DRS on Mikael de los Rios. It will be very interesting. We saw this in F1 as well. 3 wide.
Cameron Rogers and Patrick Vonnemuller both go through, and off goes De Los Rios. So De Los Rios loses 2 positions, loses the third when there's contact with Thomas Andrea Maharasser, as Miguel De Los Rios just rejoins straight into the road. Unfortunately, that's completely his fault there. And if you look on board with Andrea Maharasser, he had basically no time to react there, and I hope his car's not damaged from that. But bad rejoin from Miguel De Los Rios, who is now down into 15th position.
But yeah, Chris Butcher is getting into this 3rd sector, and is he going to do it? He's going to do it! So, he will win the race. Josh, did we expect this? Well, of course, there was a chance he would do it, but this was an enormous drive from him, and yeah. I think
before the season, someone asked me what team to look out for. I said Red Arrow, and Chris Butcher for Red Arrow is going to cross the line now. Side to side, he weaves across the line. He wins it. Chris Butcher starts the season in terrific style and leads the championship. Adrian Campfield is 2nd. Philip Koenig is 3rd. Chris Shepard does an incredible job to hold on to 4th place by driving sideways. Osvaldo Angeloni is 5th. Then it's James Early, Mark Veert. Valent Hammer is going to hold on to 8th, despite only finding out he's going to drive 3 hours ago, rather. Unbelievable. So Hammer crosses the line 8th. 9th is Clip. 10th will be Vonnemuller, who took that position on the final lap, of course. 11th is Roger. Then it's Maguire. Good recovery from that spin. Andrea Marisser, Stefano, Miguel De Los Rios. Of course, stewards will be looking at that incident, I'm sure. And then just outside of the points were Michał Galka, Rano Muru, Pavel Andrzejewski, Dominic Foster, Tom Davison, the first of our kart drivers, I believe. Ivan Leonov, whose race promised so much more until that incident, very unfortunate. Harry Graham, our 2nd Downforce Racing kart driver, who is going to cross the line in 20 seconds. So, to be honest, it's a good showing that both of our kart drivers finished this, because you have to factor in their age and their experience and the fact that this is a highly competitive series, and they finished the race. So good start from them. Let's see what they can bring out in race 2. Ben Willis weaves from side to side again. Super League driver from last year, only 23rd in this race though, after an incident near the start of the race. His teammate Dan Kell is crossing the line in 24th, and then I believe a lap down we had Brett Metcalf, Daniele Brambilla, and David Yunt. And then out of the race and not finishing it were Zibinski, Peters, Choda, and Vosnica.
Yes. So, Joshua, who's the man of the race? Or
man of the race?
If you can name a few drivers who are the guys from the race for you, like who impressed you during this race?
Well, immediately Chris Butcher, because Chris Butcher, well, we have effectively equal cars. You can change setup and things like that, but I see this as a completely fair competition. There's no sort of difference in engine or car or anything like that. So really, if you finish on top, you are the top driver, and that's what we saw from Chris Butcher today. A dominant performance. Another really good drive was from Chris Shepherd, of course. Finished the race despite having a damaged car in 4th position. That's very impressive. Balint Hammer, very, very good. That he only found out he was going to be driving in this a couple of hours ago, and now he's 8th. He would have done a bit of testing before this, but not with racing it in mind. So that's a great performance from that. And then there were other drivers who impressed, of course, all the way through that. Philip Koenig, 3rd place. I think that's his best performance. Adrian Campfield, 2nd. I think that's his best performance in the career ladder. There were so many standout performances there, and I would have liked to have seen what would have happened from Leonov and Choda if they had not been involved in accidents earlier on in the race.
Yes, yeah, it was very interesting. Some people who are pretty quick crashed out. Of course, it was a shame to see Sandeep Choda go, because he actually was so quick. He was about to, I believe, make a move on Butcher, and he braked too late. I think he spun then. Yeah, very interesting. We will hear, I think, from Sandeep later. We could ask him, and yeah. But now we are going to race 2 soon, and race 2 means we've got a reverse grid between 10 and 15, if I'm not mistaken, and will be very interesting who we can see on pole then.
I've just been slightly told off for calling Cameron Rogers. There is only one of him. I can confirm that. He is one of a kind and is not a plural. So I got that wrong, and apologies about that. But race 2 is going to be coming up very shortly, and it's going to be a reverse grid as well. I don't know what position is going to be picked at random. That will be interesting to see. And then we can start our reverse grid race, which, well, I tell you what, you thought our first race was exciting. The second race always brings it to a whole nother level.
Yes, the second race will be very interesting, of course, because you've got people that actually are pretty decent, but yeah, they finished in P13, P14, and now they get a chance to lead the field, and if they don't make mistakes and the faster guys are battling with each other, they can get very far, and we shall see what will happen. And I'm wondering which driver will get pole. Will it be pole top 10 reversed? Maybe it will be top 12 reversed, or maybe it just will be top 15. And yeah, if you ask me, I want to see the whole top 15 reversed, because then you've got a lot of cars between the winner of last race, Chris Butcher, and of course number 15. So Chris Butcher and the rest need to do a lot of overtaking to get in front of the pack, and that's what we want to see, of course, right, Josh?
Yeah, certainly. The more excitement, the better, of course. And race 2, we'll bring that, I'm sure, whatever the order. So that was race 1.
Reverse grid number is 10. That means Ronne Muller is on pole. So it's the lowest number of reverse grids we can get. So top 10 reversed. Very interesting.
On one hand, that makes it the fairest. It means that the drivers who finish higher up will be starting higher up. Well, as fair as it can be, because 10 is the smallest number that could have been picked there. But still, and I'm sure it'll still be just as exciting, but it's not the sort of really misshapen grid order that we see sometimes. Right, we do also now have a what was I saying there? A David Fidok to talk about some Team Bossish stuff. Hello, David.
Evening, guys. You all right?
Yes, yeah, very good. Right, so David, you're race 1, of course. Well, first of all, remind us which team you're the boss of, I expect.
Well, they just won the race, didn't they? So
yeah.
Mixed fortunes, though. Chris had a nice controlled race. Once he built a 4-second gap, he was looking after the car. But sadly, David Junt got in a tangle lap 1, and then later on in the race, even though he was making good progress. But that's Formula Challenge. Yeah, we lead the race. We won a race. We're leading the championship for now until race 2. But yeah, it's a solid start so far.
So obviously you've made a very good start to the season with Red Arrow, of course. And what's your goal for the whole season? What do you realistically expect, and how optimistic are you?
Nothing but the title, else I wouldn't be here. Our
Brilliant.
first season last year was just a step into the unknown, really. It was just a new season for the team, getting used to the drivers and knowing how they like the car, and etc. So it's just about having fun, getting used to the way Formula Challenge races work, reverse grids, etc. But yeah, all of pre-season, winter testing has all been about being really serious this season. The guys have been really focused. Chris has improved a lot. DJ's got his head down more this season. So yeah, it's paying off so far, obviously. But yeah, the aim is both titles.
Both titles. Well, good to have something to point towards, of course. And it's been a very good start as well. As a team boss, what in particular does that mean when you get a driver who finishes right at the top of the order and another driver who finishes outside of the points? Is it which do you focus on, really? Is it? I suppose it's very bittersweet, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it's really hard know what to say in the Discord, because like Chris crosses the line, you're like, oh, well done, Chris, but DJ, unlucky DJ. So like, that's why I jumped up in the broadcast, so I don't have to talk for a minute. Like, I'll go back in there when the race starts and it's quiet.
Oh, right, I see.
It is difficult to know what to say, but yeah, you just got to keep them both motivated. Try and keep their heads up. Well, DJ's heads up for race 2. A lot can happen this race. There's going to be a lot of mobile chicanes going around, so yeah, just keep them focused now and hope for the best race 2.
Well, let's see what happens and enjoy your champagne from race 1 then.
Yeah, thank you. It's just a bottle of Coke, but it'll do.
Okay, that'll do. Go and get yourself whatever you have handy.
Cheers. Bye.
Right, so that was David Francic, of course, the team boss from Red Arrow, of course, the team fielding both David Yunt and of course Chris Butcher, who won that race there. Just talking us through the sort of emotional side of being a team boss on a race weekend like this. Of course, with one driver finishing right up there and the other one, unfortunately, getting involved in all sorts of issues. But we'll see what happens in race 2. There's plenty of opportunities for things to change. We are still live on both the SimNews.TV YouTube channel and the GPVWC YouTube channel. So far, I think we've amassed close to 100 views in total, really. So that's a very good start. Hello to all of you watching. The chat's actually moving too quickly to keep up with. I'm trying to read out a couple of comments, but they're a bit fast moving here. I see a lot of Taki Inui jokes going on. But anyway. Rain tomorrow ? Says Jean-Pierre Helpat there. I wonder if that's the forecast for the Super Cup race. That will make it interesting rather. Of course, the Super Cup race will be live tomorrow on the same channels, GPVWC and the SimNews.TV channel as well. So that's certainly something to look out for. Super Cup, of course, one league higher than this and just as exciting. And then, of course, Super League will be on Thursday as well.
Yeah, so I was talking with a few of the team bosses. So yeah, some of the team bosses are very happy. I talked to Michael Teichmann, who was over the moon with the 3rd position of Mr. Koenig. So that was a huge motivation for all the team. while his teammate Kevin Peters is not rejoining for race 2 because of computer issues.
Oh, that's a big shame, big shame. But anyway, the drivers are just getting to the grid now, and then we can get this race underway. Don't forget, of course, that after the Super Cup race tomorrow as well, we also have a Scrutineer episode. The Scrutineer returns. It's a series, of course, about the technical side of Super League, run by Mike Pittman, and it'll be interesting to hear what he says about the upcoming Super League season before that starts on Thursday. So it will be tomorrow, and that broadcast tomorrow will start at about 10 after the Super Cup broadcast has finished, and that one starts at 7:30. Got that right? Okay, plenty of dates for the diary then. Now, off on the formation lap we go, and it's Patrick Vonnemuller leading us away. He will start at the very front of the field after finishing 10th in race 1. Following him is Matthew Klipp. Balint Hammer, now that will be an interesting one to look out for. Hammer, very impressive in race 1, as were all of these other drivers in the top 10, including Mark Wyatt, James Early, Osvaldo Angeloni, Chris Shepherd, Philip Koenig, Adrian Campfield, Chris Butcher, our race 1 winner, and then after them, the drivers who just missed out on the cut for the reverse grid, but did also make points. Those were Cameron Roger, Luke Maguire, Thomas Andriama Rosert, Wesley Stefano, and Miguel de los Rios. And then out of the points last race, and hoping to make up some in this race, Michal Galka, Rano Muru, Pavel Andrzejewski. I'm just going to say Andrzejewski. That's probably not right, seeing as there's a Z in it, but that's as close as I'm going to get to it. And I apologise if it's not very right. But anyway, following him is Dominic Foster in 19th, Tom Davison in 20th, then it's Ivan Leonov in 21st, followed by Harry Graham, Ben Willis, and then it's Dan Kell, Rhett Metcalf, Daniel Brambilla, David Yunt, Matthias Zubinski, and Sandy Choda. We've lost a couple of drivers here actually, because we did have 31 going into race 1. Now we only have 29. I heard that we've lost Peters due to
and the other one is Dabrowski, and then I don't know.
But Dabrowski went out after qualifying. He wasn't in race 1. Who's the other driver who did race 1 but isn't here now?
Let's see. Actually, it's difficult to say, so we will look at that later. So
we'll update.
We're going to look. Who's going to win, Josh? Who's going to win this one?
Ooh, a win. Oh, that's a difficult one, I tell you. A good pick, I'd say. It's going to be someone from the top 10, I expect. Chris Butcher, of course, you can never write off after that performance in race 1, but he's going to have to work really hard to come from 10th.
My bet is Shepherd.
What about James Early? James Early seemed definitely quick, and he, of course, is starting from 5th on the grid here. And he seems like the kind of driver who might be able to make his way through. Anyway, the drivers are now all lined up on the grid. Let's wait for the lights. Why aren't the lights coming on? Here they come. Here they come. Right, so 3, 4, 5. Away we go, and away we go for race 2. So it's Patrick Vonnemuller who gets the best start there from pole position. He's going to lead down into turn 1. They're going to go side by side for second. Hammer defends very aggressively, and over goes Klipp. Very, very high up onto 2 wheels. Loses several positions, gets swamped by the pack. Oh, contact with someone else as well. There's contact with Roger. Almost went round. Great start from Galka and a good save from Roger. There's more contact, and Maguire goes round ahead of the rest of them. Klipp was involved, and I've cursed James Early. James Early is off in that. Oh dear. Another driver involved, Ben Willis, and Matthias Zubinski as well. There have been a couple of incidents. Wesley Stefano is out. Now, Patrick Vonnemuller still leads us from Balint Hammer. Osvaldo Angeloni, Mark Beard, Chris Shepherd.
Leonov is off.
Oh, Leonov off. Okay, let's watch Shepherd as he goes for 4th position here on Mark Wyatt. Going round the outside, turns right where Wyatt didn't want him to, and gets the position done. So Chris Shepherd holds on around the outside to get the inside for the next corner, goes through into 4th position. Now watch Wyatt under attack from both Koenig and the driver behind of Chris Butcher. And Koenig trying to go around the outside. That's a great move from Koenig. Again. And now Butcher has a switchback on Wyatt and is going through. And look at it's Galka. So Galka going for 7th. That's a brilliant performance. Galka's made up 9 positions on this opening lap. Amazing from Michal Galka.
That is very good from Michael Galka. That's not cursing, but it is very good. And I saw there was a touch of Adrian Campfield on the car of Luke Maguire. So Campfield touched Maguire. I believe he braked a bit too late. But of course, I'm not the one to judge. And Luke Maguire was facing the other way, and he's needing to do a comeback race now.
I think Matthew Clip might be facing a couple of penalties he wasn't expecting there, and those are murder charges. Because if you look at his replay, he's just driven through several spectators and appears to be nowhere near the track.
Oh,
so
what happened there then? He just jumped the... Oh my... Yes.
Whatever's happened to Matthew Clip, it wasn't expected, but he's a long way from the track. Tom Davison, unfortunately, is pitted after lap 1 with damage. There are several drivers also out of contention and out of the race. Rano Muro, Ivan Leonov, and Wesley Stefano, as I said. Now, Wondermiller is coming under big attack from Balint Hammer. Hammer is really putting the hammer down here. Chasing and chasing. Now, watch him as they head into the next chicane. Will he dive bomb here? This is going to be a really tough one to do. That's a fast chicane. And doesn't attempt it quite wisely. We saw a move coming there last lap, but it's a very unusual one to pull. And now he's coming under attack from Angeloni. So Angeloni goes to the outside. This is for 2nd. Doesn't hold on to it though. So just a speculative move for now. And still it's Hammer in 2nd position here behind Valamiller. And of course behind him is Angeloni, Shepherd, Koenig, Butcher, Galka, Campfield, Blade, and Andrzejewski after this 2nd lap of the race now.
Yes, and very interesting. Both the cars from CM Tech are now P15 and P16. After a bad first race, they look on the way back for some points in race 2. I now see David Junt next to Harry Graham. Harry Graham in P13. Well done for Harry Graham. Oh, the battling. Oh, the touch with Junt.
Well, that was close, and they're going 3 wide. My goodness, Junt on the grass. That's amazing. Junt getting 2 wheels over the grass. And Harry Graham, oh no, oh dear, he's been taken out and flipped. Daniele Brambilla has flipped Harry Graham, and unfortunately, it looks as if Brambilla just lost it under. Oh, he did. Brambilla got on the grass, lost it under braking, and he's taken out the poor Harry Graham there. That's 4 times over for Harry Graham. That's a dreadful crash. Luckily, he's still in the race somehow.
That's a testament to the strength of those cars, of course, because...
but look at the damage.
Yeah.
I tell you what, in reality, it's certainly not still be in the race, but that's done
Oh, what's happening here? Chris Shepherd! Patrick Wondermiller made a mistake! What happened there? He's now P3.
Oh, wow. Okay, well, Wondermiller was leading. He's now dropped down to 4th. So Hammer leads the race. He only knew he was racing 3 hours ago. Now he's leading. Amazing performance.
I mean, if you're driving for Academy, you don't have a primary seat at Team NFC, and to make this kind of name for yourself, I mean, I know the Academy is a GPV-based team for upcoming talents, but yeah, can I say hire this guy? Come on, if you have any space left in any FC team in the future, this is the guy you need to have. Balint Hammer, he's driving that Academy car like you want it, and yeah, let's see how he does in the upcoming laps, of course. But it's amazingly close on the top 5, top 6 is so close. They can all see each other.
I tell you what, it was a good move. I've just seen it on replay as Hammer popped himself down the inside of Wondermiller, and that just put Wondermiller out of the rhythm, which cost him the 2 extra places, and now he might lose a 3rd to Philip Koenig, who's really approaching him. As you say, the top 5 very close. Meanwhile, Harry Graham's been further bullied down the back of the order. He got hit by Cameron Roger, unfortunately, and he's back in the pits. Hopefully that's repaired damage. Adrian Campfield! Oh, Campfield's been involved in an accident. He was very high in the championship. He was running, well, he finished 2nd in the last race, and Campfield has been into the pits with both his front and rear wing missing. And that's very, very bad for the driver who finished 2nd in race 1. But what's happened here? I'm going to find it on the replay. It's all on his own. He's bounced over the curb, been absolutely flown into the wall. And that's a big crash from Adrian Campfield.
And it's an amazing battle for P2 now, where you've got Osvaldo, which I actually didn't know he was that quick. I just saw today, but is that guy quick in the server? And he's actually performing. He's now P2, and he's giving Chris Shepard really a lot to think about.
We always get surprises at this point in the season. Angeloni and Hammer at the front of the order. Who would have predicted that? What an order we have here with Chris Shepard hunting them down. And Shepard now is certainly looking like he really wants this victory. He was robbed of it by that damage in race 1. I mean, who knows whether it was his fault or not. I didn't see, but still, he wants to make up for that now. There's been a bit of a battle behind him as well, as Koenig has got past Wonnemiller. So Koenig's got past Wonnemiller, and Chris Butcher's all over his rear end too now. And Butcher going up the inside down into the chicane. Wonnemiller defends, and Butcher doesn't. Oh, Wonnemiller's missed his braking.
Oh, they nearly touched each other. Oh my god, that was close. But yeah, getting back on Chris Shepard, this is a test for him. Last year he was so quick, but he sometimes made a bit of mistakes. Today he needs to learn. He crashes out. Chris Shepard is out of the race.
Oh, so nearly collided with someone else. How did Michal Galka see him there? Look at that onboard from Michal Galka. That's amazing reflex. That is brilliant. But
I wanted to say, and sorry for the cursing of Chris Shepard, I want to say sometimes he makes mistakes, and he just needed to have settled for P3. For now, that was good enough, and now he's got damage. Oh no, Chris Shepard. He needs to go into the pits, because there is a rule that if you lose your front wing, you need to pit within 3 laps. If you're not pitting, you will get a disqualification, if I'm correct. At least in recent years, that was the case. I believe Chris can drive a few laps without a front wing, but it's useless, so he needs to get into the pits ASAP. But what a game changer again.
I just pit on the first opportunity you get. You lose far more time otherwise. But anyway, Michal Galka, incidentally, brilliant response, brilliant reflex. He's now up into 6th position, actually catching Patrick Wonnemiller. He had a terrible race 1, but this race 2 for him. Oh, I've cursed him too. We are doing a brilliant job of cursing these drivers today. He's gone over the gravel. Luckily, didn't hit anything. Just as you said that Chris Shepard's prone to mistakes, he makes a mistake. Just as I say Galka's doing well, he makes a mistake. What? Well, anyway, Chris Shepard still running in 7th, didn't pit. Now that's interesting. Does he know the extent of the damage he has? We're not even half the way in. Surely he's not still lapping without that front wing. He needs to pit this, but he's still on the track for now. And after all of that, it's Ballant Hammer leading from Angeloni, Koenig, Butcher and Wonnemiller.
Yes, and this is very interesting, of course, because I would have said that Chris Shepard was the one who in the end could have won it because of his experience. But now Ballant Hammer and Osvaldo are gone. And if they work a bit together for the next few laps, they can pull a gap on Koenig. And they can win and get 3 seconds. So interesting if they can work together. Butcher is now in P4. And this will be very important for Butcher as well. Of course he wants to win or get a podium, but even if he gets P4, his main rivals, which I include Luke Maguire and Chris Shepard, have damage, so they will not have the amount of points they want to. If Chris Butcher can just finish ahead of them, he will take a lot of points out of them, and then yeah, I think Chris Butcher will be first in the standings, but I fear Chris Shepard and where's the other one? Luke Maguire will not even be his main nearest rivals. I believe now the nearest rival from Chris Butcher will be the guy that is in front of him on the track. That's Philip Koenig, who's driving in P3 again. So that's very interesting. But keep an eye on Chris Butcher.
The lead! Angeloni gets over the grass. They touch for the lead of the race. That was close. Hammer going off. Hammer's off. Angeloni's in the lead. Now, BP Sim Racing and Design just put in the YouTube comments, I didn't see which one, that he thought that Angeloni might win it. I think he really will. Klont, oh dear, Hammer makes contact with Koenig, and now Butcher going through as well. And Hammer, who was running in 1st position for so long, drops down the order to 4th. That got so close for the lead of the race. They touched going into the hairpin, chicane rather, and that could have been so much worse. But Angeloni just put himself right where Hammer didn't expect him to be, and Oh my word, that was so close.
Oh, and we've got damage for David Jones. Damage for David Jones. Damage for David Jones. What happened?
Oh, he's missing his front wing. Into the pits comes Junt. And that's a terrible, terrible thing for him because Junt had a terrible race 1. And now his second race. Oh, and Andrea Maharasur also into the pits and also missing his front wing.
They hit each other. Oh, there was a huge pile up. Was a huge pile up, and it was caused by Chris Shepard. Somebody ran into Luke McGuire, ran into the back of Chris Shepard, and David Jones was collected by it, and Thomas Ariam Harisoa as well. Oh
no! Well, that's why we have the rule that you have to hit when you miss your front wing, because Shepard had to slow down too much around the corner, went off in fact, and got collected from behind by Luke McGuire. How many times did McGuire flip there? Let's count this. 1, 2, 3. Oh, I've got a laggy replay. That looks like 6, 7 times. My word, that's dreadful. And McGuire is understandably out of this race. Also into the pits came Chris Shepard on that lap. He knows that he made a mistake by staying out for so long, and he absolutely did. And unfortunately there, for me, Chris Shepard triggered that.
Number 15, Dominic Forster. What's happening with Dominic Forster? Damage as well for Dominic Forster, and Dominic Forster is... No, he's standing still. Oh my, this is carnage.
Now, Foster was running in 14th. Oh dear! Now, what happened there was he touched the inside wall, and it just grabbed him. It's just grabbed his front wing. I don't know why he was getting that close to the inside wall, but that's a little bit unrealistic there. It's just sort of spat him round into the outside wall, and that's cost him a points position there. And look at who's in the points position now. Daniele Brambilla. Foster is out of the race. And Adrian Campfield again is missing... Oh, no, he isn't. He's not missing his front wing. That's just because it's black. I didn't see it. Never mind. Panic over. So, out of the race so far, Wesley Stefano, Ivan Leonov, Renaud Muru, Matthew Klipp, Miguel de los Rios, Sandeep Choda, and Luke McGuire. That's... and Dominic Foster now too. So that is a... very high attrition rate in this race so far, and that's not good to see. But I must say, let's face it hasn't been boring.
No, it hasn't been boring, and yes, mistake from one guy can force a few guys out, and that's the sport as well. It's unfortunate, but that's racing. So we are now going to look at least everybody is getting points, at least all finishers. We will shake a hand and say, well done, guys. We've got a few battles still on track, but yeah, Osvaldo looks like he might do it in race 2.
Joshua Anderson's just...
Did he hit the wall there? Osvaldo just hit the wall out of the last...
Oh goodness! The commentator's curse is coming at us in huge effect here.
Yeah.
We've just... Well, he's fine, there's no damage, and he's still running in the lead of the race, but that could have been so bad for Osvaldo Angeloni. What are we saying? We should just be banned from saying any driver's names at all. But anyway, I was just going to say, Joshua Anderson came into the YouTube chat there, the GPVWC one, to say, and people wonder why we hired Osvaldo. And indeed, he is doing a brilliant job here, leading this race. And, well, amazing. But we very nearly cost you the lead of the race there. So, well, that was close. Also, another question I can see from Epic Racing, who says, who is DC for FC? That is Roy Schroten, I believe. Or, as Will Panisi says, a very, very busy man. And indeed, for now, yes, that's the case. I'm being told off by so many people in this chat. Stop talking Joss at BP Sim Racing Design, Fabian Ruder, and pretty much everyone else. What about on the other YouTube chat? Maldonado's everywhere. I wouldn't say that. There hasn't been so much stupid driving that we've seen. Well, I'm not calling Maldonado stupid. That came out wrong. But
I want to say something about that. It looks far more easier than it is.
Absolutely.
The track in Australia has got a lot of bumps, and if you drive on a certain curbs, it will upset the car. And if you lose the car, then like the rear, and somebody hits you even so slightly, then it will upset the car, and then you've got a lot of damage. And so it's easily to say you see a lot of Maldonados, but it's not always true. But of course, one guy can make a little mistake and it can have huge consequences. That's racing as well. But yeah, I'm not agreeing that there are a lot of Maldonados. Just a bit unlucky sometimes as well.
I should remind you, Maldonado won a race. But anyway,
Yes.
who would have predicted this before the race weekend? That in race 2 here, Stax Racing would be 20th and 21st. Those are the last 2 runners. The thing is, they've just had a dreadful race 2, several incidents and several problems. And unfortunately, Stax have been having a bit of a torrid time here. Meanwhile, the gap for the lead of the race is coming down again. This is going to get close, because we have still roughly 30% of the race remaining, 5 laps left. And Koenig is catching Angeloni, gets within a second of him, and actually just goes out to behind a second behind him, if that makes sense, again. But he's, on average, he's catching him. And Angeloni needs to be careful here, because Koenig is coming, as is Chris Butcher, who is right behind Koenig in a proper battle here for second place. So, Butcher looking all over the rear end of Philip Koenig here. He will be waiting for any slight opportunity. Someone kicks up the dirt slightly as we head now around the final corner and out onto the straight. Both of them kick up the dirt there, and now Chris Butcher will have the DRS. He has that open, and it closes now under braking. Didn't get close enough. Now we have a second DRS zone here, and well, Koenig wasn't quite close enough to use it there. You need to be within a second of the car ahead, and Koenig was 1.2 seconds behind Angeloni, but Butcher was certainly close enough to use it. And Butcher will be getting a free ride, basically, every time they get onto a DRS straight.
Oh, and a mistake for Michael Gorka. Michael Gorka is going off, but it's not that big.
Well, I tell you what, he's still running. Yeah, he's still running behind Wundermuller. Oh no, never mind. I was behind on the stream. Yeah, I ran through the gravel. He's dropped back a little way. Still in 6th though. 7th is Mark Vert, who is still running behind it. Again, Mark Vert, one of those sneaky drivers. He's always running very high in the order, but never really on camera. And Vert's been doing well here. Koenig's off. Koenig for the lead in 2nd, rather. But Koenig, who was catching the leader, gets a big swap on. And now Chris Butcher takes 2nd place as Koenig clouts the barrier. And I think, looking on board with Koenig's car, I think that's got damage. Let's look at the steering as we head on to the start-finish straight. Oh, he's clipped the wall again, and he has got damage. So Koenig, he would have just added to his damage there, but he has got a damaged car, the bent steering, crabbing car, and behind him he's got a driver who knows all about that, but not on the same lap as him.
This will be interesting. Koenig, of course, now has damage, and what can Ballet Hammer do? Because Ballet Hammer is a few seconds down, but yeah, he doesn't have the damaged car, so very interesting, of course.
Of course, in race 1 we saw Chris Shepherd hang on to 4th, and now can Philip Koenig repeat that and hang on to 3rd with this? That would be a really tough task, as Balint Hammer actually runs slightly over the grass in the background there, I saw, as does Michal Galka, who's already caught up to the back of Wundermuller again, so he doesn't want to let Wundermuller get away again. Ooh, Wundermuller gets over the grass, and that's certainly something these drivers need to stop doing, because that costs you all sorts of momentum going on to straights.
Patrick Wundermuller spins out of P5.
Oh goodness! No, how's that happened? Oh, that's all on his own. He's just locked the brakes. It looks as if he's locked the rear brakes, and he's just kind of looped the car around. That's possibly a brake balance issue. I found that towards the end of a race, I often like to put the brake balance about 0.5% forwards, because well, forwards from where it was at the start of the race, because your rear tyres just start to become slightly less controllable under brakes, and sometimes you can just loop it round like that, and that is entirely what we saw from Wundermuller, and that means that Michal Galka is now up into 5th, and Wundermuller is now down into 6th place. But has he lost any sort of tyre wear here?
Let me look at the difference in lap time. 36.4 last lap from Koenig. 35.6, so it's 8/10 from Hammer to did I say Galka? Koenig. So Koenig is of course slower, but I think Koenig will have enough to get the 3rd position in his hand. So very interesting. But of course, Hammer is closing down for now.
There's a lot of people actually in the Formula Challenge, the Formula Challenge Discord chat, picking up on my point earlier that Matthew Cliff murdered a couple of spectators, which is interesting to see. I'll have to go back over the chat there afterwards and read through that. That would be funny. But anyway, still it's Osvaldo Angeloni leading the race by a bigger margin than before now that Koenig's gone off, but Butcher is trying to halve that gap, and I think he's catching him. But will it be by enough of a by enough pace to catch our race leader before the end of the race and get a double victory? Maybe that would be incredible for Chris Butcher. It's very obvious that Butcher's going to be leading the championship after this round if he finishes where he does now, with a win and a second place. But if he can get a double victory here at the start of the season, that would be absolutely incredible. Of course, our champion last season was Maciej Winnick, who has moved up into the Super Cup division. So, of course,
very
these
close for P7, very close for P7. Mark fight next to Maciej Sabinski. Sabinski has DRS. I think he will do it.
Yeah, he's going to be in the DRS zone as we head on to the start-finish straight. Oh, contact! That was Viet going into the wall there. So Viet touched the wall. I reacted slightly late because my timer was slightly behind there, but Viet did touch the wall and he's dropped behind Zirbinski now.
We've got another battle. Brambilla against Willis. Willis gets Brambilla for P13.
Yeah, in the lower part of the points, but Brambilla is actually not going to get the DRS because I think the DRS detection. What's happened to Brambilla? He's slowing. Has he run out of fuel? That might well be the case.
No.
I think he's out of fuel.
Oh no! Brambilla is out. Oh no.
It's the final lap of the race too. I think he's fueled it for one lap too few. And that is dreadful news. It might have been that he just forgot there was a formation lap or something like that. But Brambilla misses out on points due to that. We'll have to ask him about that after the race. But disappointing from that, and that promotes Thomas Andrea Marasser into the last points position. Indeed, it's registered as a fuel issue. I can see on Rfactor 2 here it's registered as a fuel issue. Now let's watch Osvaldo Angeloni as he is rounding the final sector of the course, final corner. I didn't even know who he was before this week. Angeloni out to the final corner. We all know who he is now, and he's going to cross the line. There's the checkered flag. He wins it. Angeloni wins the race. Butcher is second. And third is going to be Koenig, just from Hammer. And Koenig did well.
Galko with damage. Galko with damage on his front wing. Will he get the position? He will get loads of understeer, but he will do it. He will get P5 or not. He will do it. He will do it.
It's going to be a drag race, but Galko has less drag. Galko fifth. 1 Miller sixth.
P7. Zirbinski. Zirbinski is in. Mark fight. Jump to Cenobite for today is in P8. Double points for him. Also double points for Dunkel.
Kel and Andrzejewski just holds on too early for a 10th. I cursed early totally in that race. I said that he was in a good position for the win. He finished 11th after a collision early in the race. Did a good recovery, actually. Brett Metcalf at 12th, and then it's Willis, Yunt, Andrea Maharasur. Yunt is also another driver I cursed behind the scenes because I said that Yunt was going to do brilliantly today. So the commentator's curse has just been the talking point of the day here, hasn't it? But anyway, Andrea Maharasur takes 15th position and the final point. Just outside of the points is going to be the second IDOS Motorsport car of Cameron Roger, not Rogers. There's only one of him. And Roger weaves from side to side. Obviously, he still enjoyed himself despite the fact he didn't score any points in this race anyway. Scored a couple in race 1. 17th is going to be our first kart driver, Tom Davison, and that's a better result than he got in race 1. So an improvement from Tom Davison there, partly because of all of the carnage we saw. And then, of course, we had our first retirement, Brambilla, and then a lap down, as Brambilla, of course, made it onto the final lap. Harry Graham, Chris Shepherd, Adrian Campfield. Of course, Chris Shepherd and Campfield, dreadful result after their brilliant race 1 result. And then also not finishing were Foster, Maguire, Choda, De Los Rios, Klip, Muru, Leonov, and Stefano in a serious race of attrition.
Yeah, well, Klip, nearly got lynched by the other spectators because he killed a few. But yeah, I think that is it. I want to say a special, I want to name Brett Metcalf especially because he is in his mid-50s and he now finished in P12. And I find this an amazing achievement from Brad Metcalf, getting the first points, I believe, for the team today. So I want to special name Brad Metcalf for getting the points today. I think a lot of positives of today. Osvaldo Angelone, I didn't know who he was until recently, and how he won. He's the guy everybody is going to watch into the next rounds. And of course, also Chris Butcher, who flies into the championship lead. Now, of course, the driver championship, he will have a lot of points, around 45. And Philip Kearney with another third place. He's now P2 in the standings. With, of course, a great race for Balenthammer, Michael Galka, even for Patrick Vandermuller. Great race for Sierpinski, Mark Fout and Dan Kahl, who both made their debut today, did great to finish in the top 10. Paolo Andrzejewski as well. And, of course, all the 5 other point scorers did great as well. Up to you, Josh.
Absolutely, it was a great race. I've just realised the commentator's curse came into effect again towards the end of that race, because just before the finish, Elise Skinner mentioned me saying, "Don't mention my drivers or I will," so forth. And I mentioned that Galka was doing a great job, and then he finished the race without a front wing. Admittedly, did finish without. Finished race in P. What? Yeah, admittedly, he did finish the race in P6. Rather, that's what I was trying to say. But still, I very nearly cursed another one. Oh dear, the commentators should just. I think commentary should be a criminal offence on a day like this. That was ridiculous. But anyway, let's get some interviews. Some interviews done. We've got a couple of people in the interview booth now. Can I drag them in? Yeah, I can. Jolly good. Right. Going in terms of alphabetical order, the first one brought in will be a Chris Butcher. Hello, Chris.
Hello.
Right. So, Chris, you're leading the championship. Great start to the season. Talk us through how it was and how it felt.
Yeah, couldn't really ask for a better start. Bit surprised to get pole really after all the penalties, and race 1 was an absolute dream. Had a bit of a scare when Sandeep ran into the back of me, but apart from that, it all went to plan. And then race 2, it just everybody seemed to fall off the track in front of me. So yeah, really happy with that one.
Well, absolutely. And do you think that you're going to be able to keep this up for the rest of the year? I'm sure you'll be pushing for it.
Hopefully. I've got a new wheel now, so hopefully I'm not going to have any of the mechanical issues that I had at the end of last season. We've got the car dialed in really well. The new car for this year is much better suited to my driving style, so I don't see any reason why not.
Well, you say the car is much better suited to your driving style, and I've driven the car as well, but of course, this is a new car. So, can you explain to our audience how different this car is to the old one, and what mainly has changed?
I was dreading that question, to be honest with you, because I'm rubbish at explaining things like that. But for me, anyway, it's got more grip and more power, but it just feels a lot more planted. So it gives you the confidence to push around the corners.
Well, I must say it does feel a lot better. Right. Also looking at the interviews. Oh, thanks for that one, Chris. We do have a team boss of. We have a team boss, Joshua Anderson. Hello, Joshua Anderson.
Oh, hello. I wasn't expecting that. Hello.
Yeah, I did bring you in without any warning there. I should probably tell you when I'm bringing you in first. But anyway. So your drivers, of course, remind me who they are again first.
Well, we're actually a Super Cup outfit, but Osvaldo's our reserve driver in Super Cup. Obviously, we have an arrangement going on with McKinley to allow him to do a full-time Formula Challenge season and then have the option of some Super Cup races with us. And well, he's gone in one race too here, so that's going to put me in good stead because he's actually racing in Melbourne with us tomorrow. So great to see Osvaldo win. That's what he's capable of, you see.
Brilliant. Yeah, I was wondering why couldn't see Cosmo anywhere, but yeah. Okay, so Osvaldo, of course, won the race. He's proven how capable he is. You say he's racing in Super Cup tomorrow as well. Was this in training for that mainly, or is it that something unexpected happened and he's had to step into an extra seat mainly?
Well, the idea was always that he's going to have a full-time Formula Challenge driver to keep his skill sharp in case we needed him. And, well, as it turns out we are going to need his services for round now. One of our full-time drivers can't make it. So you will see Osvaldo Angeloni in the 6 car come tomorrow. And, well, the fact he's gone out and won it is just going to give him a huge boost, I feel. And, well, just let's just hope he can do it again tomorrow.
Absolutely incredible. Apologies for the slight dink into the barrier at one point. My commentator's cursing will accept all responsibility for that. But anyway,
we're going to have to do something about that.
Well, you know how it is. You're a commentator yourself. Surely you've done it.
No, I'm immune. I take my anti-commentator's curse tablets before every Super League race.
You should probably sell me some of those. I think I need them.
That's the thing. I would, but my dealer doesn't tell us where he gets them.
Okay, I see. Like that, is it? Right, okay.
Yeah.
We should probably be keeping this more professional. But anyway, brilliant performance from Osvaldo. How long have you known him for? Where did you find him?
Well, I've known him. I've commentated on in some endurance series. I know he's got experience in the endurance background with in LMP1s and all that. So he's good in single seaters, and he's quite confident in his abilities. And well, it's been a journey watching him grow since I first saw him. But he's definitely developed as a driver, and we thought we'd take him on, as a reserve to allow him to do FC and then come up and do more advanced single seaters if he needed to. And well, it's paid off evidently.
Well, absolutely brilliant. He won the race. I bet you couldn't really ask for more than that. Anyway, we've got a couple more guys to get to interview here. First of the two is going to be a Philip Koenig. Hello, Philip.
Hello.
So, Philip, towards the end of last season, you were showing some flashes of pace. Did you think you were going to be quite as close to the front of the order today as you actually were?
After preseason testing, no. I hope they could find some pace, but to be able to challenge for the podium or even a win in race 2, no, I didn't expect that.
Well, I tell you what, that's exactly what you did. You were right up there. Bit of damage in race 2, though. Surely, how difficult did the car come to a control? And were you expecting to finish in third after all of that?
I wasn't sure. I touched the wall and I felt, okay, the steering is bent, the rear's a bit loose. Shall I pit or shall I keep going? But I thought it's only 3 laps. Maybe in front there's still something that can happen. Behind me I had, I think, a 3 and a 7-second gap to the next people. So I thought, okay, if I pit now, I lose quite everything. So I keep going, and whoa, I was lucky to make the finish.
Yeah, and of course you made the finish well as well in a brilliant third position. So a very good one. Race 1 was a brilliant position as well. I think you're second in the championship here. So so what's your aim for the rest of the season? Are you going to go for the championship?
I hope so, but no. At first, I hope I can find some similar pace on the other circuits, because I know Melbourne is a circuit I really like, and well, I don't know how the rest of the calendar looks for me. So I just hope for some good pace.
Well, I suppose that's all you can ask for. Just practicing whenever you get the chance, I suppose. And finally here we have a Jake Sanson. Hello, Jake.
Hello.
Right. So you of course are the team boss of the Downforce racing team, fielding the 2 kart drivers as well. How do you think they did today?
To be fair, both of our drivers, came into this completely blind, not really knowing, what to expect, and they've done really good in other virtual leagues, and obviously they race in karting properly in the Real Light UK series. So they came into this really not knowing just how tough it was going to be. We had good pace in qualifying. Both drivers were within 1.7 of pole, which is fantastic for their debut. I mean,
amazing,
way ahead of our expectations. And yeah, in terms of pace, both guys had a really, really good run. I think we got caught up in a bit of unfortunate luck through the course of the race. I mean, I know I've already flipped out a couple of times on social media just because the pressure really gets to you at times, and I have to apologize. But yeah, both the drivers did really, really, really well. I mean, considering their inexperience, I think we only had 1 major driver error in the whole race. And, they managed to recover from it very, very quickly. they're already frustrated and they're already, really gutted about the fact they didn't quite get into the points on the road today. Maybe with penalties we might, but that's not really the way anybody wants to score points. But yeah, both guys are motivated, they're ready, they're pumped up, and they want to go again next time.
Well, that's very great to hear. Hopefully they won't get bashed around a bit. They really did get bashed around in the middle of that second race, and I can understand why you'd get a bit heated about that. But
I think. Well, to be fair, I mean, yes, our guys did get bashed around, but let's be fair here. They weren't the only ones who got bashed around. There was a couple of teams out there who really suffered. I think CMR Tech really suffered going on. There were a couple of teams that really didn't have much of an opportunity to get out of the way of other people's incidents. It's really unfortunate. I think the only real major grievance that really sticks, I think, is probably the turn 5 first lap glitch. I think personally, when you look at how many teams were caught up in it, I'm not even talking about Downforce Racing. I counted at least 3 teams other than us whose race was fairly ruined by that. It's just one of those things. It's difficult. It's obviously frustrating, and I can totally understand why Race Control decided to keep the race going. It's just really, really difficult when so many teams have put so much hard work into it, and obviously there's a great chance taken away, particularly with one team, I think, had both of their cars out by the second sector. And it's just so frustrating when you have to put in so much hard work, and it is hard work. People from the outside will look at this and go, well, it's just a game, isn't it? No, it's a lot more hard work and testing and training and a lot of hard work that goes into it. And it's difficult because I think, it's just frustrating for the teams that were involved, really.
Well, I suppose now for you in particular, I mean, your 2 drivers, of course, Graham and Davison, have to look forward to the next round. But for you in particular, Super League commentary coming up on Thursday. So that's something to look out for everyone involved.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to it. I think this year, I just watched 2 really, really strong challenge races. I think tomorrow's Super Cup races are going to be just as exciting, and Super League, I think the first round promises to be probably the most exciting first round of a league championship that there's been in about 5 or 6 years. So, the standard of teams this year, I think, is stronger than it's been for a long time. There are some really professional teams, and particularly up and down the Formula Challenge grid, I can't see a single team that doesn't deserve to be there. The driving talent is really strong. Obviously, there's a lot of new faces and people are going to get used to it quite quickly. But I think Australia was a wake-up call for everybody today. I think next time the driving standards are going to be a lot better because I think everybody will just naturally know what to expect. So it's frustrating, but as you say, I'm just looking forward to Super League on Thursday, where I don't have to stress about anything on my side going wrong.
Well, now you've said that, being a commentator, we've seen a lot of the commentators today.
Now I've said that, I'm probably going to say country mile, and then they run out of fuel or something ridiculous like that. So I hope I haven't jinxed anyone already. But yeah, no, frustrating but positive at the same time today. And it was great to have all of the Birrell UK people watching and cheering on Harry and Tom. They did a great job for rookies. They were absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, well, absolutely. And that, I believe, is the end of the broadcast now. We should probably start wrapping it up. Remember, to everyone watching this, we will be live at the same time tomorrow for the Super Cup commentary. As I said, it's a slightly higher league within the GPVWC career ladder. Same same challenge, same level of excitement. It's going to be a thrilling race, I expect. Well, it will be. And as I said, that'll be the same time tomorrow, as will Super League be, but on Thursday. Although also tomorrow, starting at about 10 p.m, we have the Scrutineer, which is a show run by Mike Pittman about the technical side of the upcoming Super League season. So join us for that on SimNews.TV, and we will, or on GPVWC for either of the race commentaries, and we will see you then. So from me, Menno, David Francic, our brilliant commentator, and the cameraman, you know what I mean, and everyone else as well. That's the end of this. See you next time.
Bye-bye.